Hey out there in YouTube land is Kuda Slayer again, and unfortunately I'm sorry I haven't really been all that active, especially since I've tried setting up my own channel to go with my 40K blog. I apologize for that. Unfortunately, life gets in the way of many things, and so this is kind of me trying to make up for it. Uh, One of the things, unfortunately, for about the last year or so, I've been really caught up in doing terrain pieces for the local gaming stores, mainly to kind of help, support them, give gamers, better experience to play games on, more attractive terrain. Just kind of show what people can do if you put your minds to it. Uh, and since terrain is always kind of one of those annoying little bits to deal with when it comes to gaming, I've been kind of looking around for some rather simple, quick terrain you can put out. And one of the things I found was a pre-made kit by a company called TT Combat. Their website is ttcombat.com. See right there, they're out of the UK. And they seem to have a kind of rather nice range of different little buildings, kind of a little bit of an Art Deco style to it. You can, if you look at these, you can sort of see it. There is a bit of a Fallout, the video game style to them, kind of 1950s, somewhat Art Deco. But it's, I bought this set for about roughly $10, and it's, fairly nice for two, fairly decent size billboards you can have at the side of side of road, put on top of a building, use them one other way. Kind of give you a little bit of sense of scale. They work pretty nicely with most of the 40K figures. There's my stand-in I use for a lot of my when I'm working on terrain. I call them Stumpy. You'll probably be seeing them a lot. But as you can see, fairly decent scale, not too big, not too small, and something fairly decent. I thought these were rather interesting for their Art Deco style. Let's see. If you can't tell by now, these are laser cut out of MDF board. Let's see. Can I open this sucker? Yeah. Just riveting. Just watch me open this, isn't it? But like I said, these were only $10. I found them on eBay. Noble Knight Games seems to be one of the sellers here in the States. You look them up on eBay themselves. But $10 for two fairly large pieces of terrain like this, that's a pretty good deal. Not exactly going as I thought it would. Trying to keep everything still intact on the board. There we go. Mind over matter, eh? But let me set this down here since some pieces are coming out. Set this off to the side. As you can see, pretty much everything comes in on one board. Everything's kind of rather nicely cut, and they manage to put all the pieces together so that you don't really waste too much material. That's a real nice job on nesting. If you haven't really dealt with laser cut pieces like this before, there is one real big drawback. First off, when you look at this, you can see all the burn marks from the laser and everything. That's not always a big problem. Sometimes when you're on the thin pieces, like these ribs here, that could be an issue, especially if they cut too close or the laser was cutting too high at the time. These can be really fragile. And then also another thing about problem with cutting like this is that if there is any kind of etching, like a couple of pieces here, like here on the girders, if you notice, that, you have the etching here for the different ribs and spars. They don't have that on the side. So if you got any kind of preference on how you want to arrange things and such, that's something to keep in mind. Um, and another thing, you can see the etching here on the main plank, or whatever we're going to call it. And then also there's a little bit of etching here on the main billboard, which is I'll get to in a minute. Everything pretty much falls together rather nicely. My real complaint about these particular kits is that there was no real instructions that came with this, and that was a big problem, especially when you like me and you like to put things together in a hurry. Let's see, which one was it? Okay, yeah, this one. If you can take a quick, and this is probably about not such a great way to look at it, but you see here, you kind of get a rough idea how it's supposed to go together. And of course, when you look on the other back, there's really no instructions or anything. I made a kind of a fairly big mistake when I put this one together. See here, this is the brace that's supposed to hold the billboard, and I kind of thought that little notch right there is supposed to hold the light. In reality, this top piece here is supposed to sit there in that recess, and then the lights here actually are supposed to sit here in these notches right there. And I goofed. And also another thing I kind of goofed on is that I didn't realize that this was supposed to be etched to kind of give you a border with to work with. But it's, despite making mistakes, it kind of came out still fairly well. This is the proper assembly. You can see what I'm talking about. The top piece is supposed to go in the notch, and then the light's supposed to go in here, and of course the right side, you got the billboard right there. But overall for $10, that's not a bad deal. You can keep them, pay them up as they are. And the feet, you may want to especially pay attention and make sure those are sanded. The ladder can be sometimes a bit of a problem if you're trying to make it even, so you can have it sit on a flat surface without wobbling too much. Or you want to make sure it's flat, so when you glue it down to a base, it's not so much of a problem. But it is what it is. There's no accidents, just happy little mistakes. So if you're looking for something like a billboard, something I'll try to show a little later, some of the kind of comedy pieces I've been working on. But if you're looking for something that's fairly cheap, or if you're consider a company that may have a wider line of other train pieces, I would say definitely TT Combat is definitely a good choice to start with. I'm not sure if they're still in business though. This is copyright 2016. But go check them out. Again, this is Kuda Slayer signing off.